Girls, what is the hardest thing to explain to a males? The feeling of having a pad stuck between your legs, hot and bloody and sweaty, and having it on during a 12-hour shifts at a warehouse, only changing between your breaks, and whenever you get the chance to have a pee break because your job is based on production. As a man, I never question period related stuff. It's a matter of faith. Honestly, yeah. I manage a few women, and when they tell me they need to pee, I don't question it, no matter how many times. As long as they aren't taking like 30 minutes to change a pad / tampon, I don't care. If I bled into essentially a diaper pad all day, I'd want to change it as often as I could too. I don't understand people who worry about bathroom breaks. People have bodily functions, and women have a very specific bodily function they gotta take care of. There is quite literally nothing sexually stimulating about inserting a tampon, and pulling out a dry one is even worse. Shudders. Or you can't insert it properly and have to pull it out and get a new tampon, but the first one took all the moisture away, so now you're trying to shove / push a cotton ball up your dry bag. Crap hurts. The feeling of a huge period blood clot slowly slime out and plop right into a wet warm pad. This, and also the sudden gush of a puddle of blood, and the OF I have to get to a toilet right now feels cause either that blood has gone off the pad and soaked my knickers, or my tampons leaked. And when wearing a pad, it just stays wet sometimes cause it takes a bit to dry / absorb. It gets me paranoid every time because I know I'm not leaking, it's just on the pad, but it feels wet. When you fart and it rolls up into your vag, I call them fart rollups. Exit through the gift shop. Oof, this got me good. Period cramps and all the other symptoms, like a few others said. Most times it's absolutely debilitating for me. It's nice when guys don't act repulsed by it, lol. Or like we are playing it up for attention. Thanks so much for the awards. I married a woman way out of my league. To this day, I'm baffled that she chose me. I'm convinced it has to do with the time she got period blood on my blankets, and I got her a towel, turned on the shower, put my bedding in the wash, and laid out a fresh blanket for us. TLDR, ugly men have read it. Be cool about menstruation. The return on investment is significant. A true knight is not afraid of bloodying his sword. Gynecological care is a lot more than just pregnancies and delivering babies. Hell, I wish more gynes realize this. How much PMS actually affects us. And for me personally, it comes a week or two before my actual period begins. It's so stressful and super annoying to deal with. I explained it as you get 1 week where you feel normal. It goes period week, normal week, horny week, and then PMS week. I say weeks, but of course everyone has slightly different cycle lengths, and also presuming normal cycles. Oh, mindos. Don't talk to me week. No sex drive week. My husband has the timing down pat, haha. TBF. I've always had easier / lighter periods and I don't get so irritated during PMS. I understand what's happening to my mood and I can usually adjust so I don't piss off my whole household, lol. Of those 4 weeks, the 2 that are the most distinct for me are the bleeding week and horny AF week. That going pee on the side of a hiking trail is not a simple task. I can't just whip it out. As a lady who was basically raised in horse barns, learning how to properly squat to pee in an open area was a great life skill. Fine then, keep your secrets. The race against time when coming out of the shower when you are on your period. Related, momentarily forgetting you're on your period after showering and drying that region real good with a towel, and then looking down and thinking whoops, and for some reason you thought a large fuzzy white bath rug was a good idea. That they care more about their peen size than we do. Oh, whoops. I dropped my monster condom that I use for my magnum dong. I boned a 7 feet tall guy with a peen on the smaller size who swore he needed magnums. It was wrinkling up and falling off. Such a terrible experience. That period cramps can cause some women excruciating pain, especially when they have medical conditions like ovarian cysts, endometriosis, etc. I literally have to call in sick at work because I cannot stand up from the pain. Thank God my supervisors are women. And my mom has to go to the hospital when she gets her period cause she loses so much blood every time. I remember as a young girl laying in bed curled up from the pain of period cramps. My mom was trying to console me and give me painkillers to go to class, and my brother walks by and says, like a brat, she's faking it to just get out of school. I know other girls and they don't complain about periods like this. I was so mad. Like, good for those girls, but we aren't all the same, asshole. I even snapped back, and I remember my mom being mad at me about snapping back, but not my brother undermining my pain. Thinking back to it still pisses me off. I'm hoping by now, maybe 12 over 13 years later, and married, he thinks different. I remember a new female pet teacher arriving at school and giving a talk to our class that went a lot like this. Girls pretend that they have pain during their periods so that they can get out of doing things they don't want to do. This works on men. I'm a woman. I've not had a painful period in my life, so I know you are lying. Don't ever try to pretend to me that you have period pain. That having a C-section isn't the easy way out of giving birth. Sometimes it's life-saving to the mom and baby, and comments like that fuel postpartum depression. My wife and I have 3 kids. 2 were natural births and the youngest was an emergency C-section. In her words, a C-section was the easiest birth, but the absolute hardest recovery. Of course it must be a harder recovery. You've had your abdomen cut open. I'm a guy who has had a hernia repaired, which is about as close to that as a man can get, and that recovery sucked. Couldn't imagine having a uterus sliced into as well. Unprovoked comments about our bodies do not make us feel good. As a girl with big boobs, friends and even relatives comment on it a lot. I try to explain that it embarrasses me, and I'm often met with confusion because it's supposed to be a compliment. My wife has a big booty, it's fantastic, and people comment on it all the time. Girl, your butt is so big. Oh damn, you've got a big booty. It makes her very self-conscious. I can imagine how bad it is. If someone makes a comment about something I'm self-conscious about, I'm very upset. If it was the first thing someone said to me, I'd be even more upset. I have a big butt too. My lesbian friend says Hod gave me. That picks them on bod. I also have PTSD from a sexual assault that I'm still healing from. So when strangers come into my place of work and say stuff like you're a thick piece of meat or you're thick as a brick, it almost gives me an anxiety attack. Keep your comments to yourselves. Men, if you want to compliment a woman and make her feel good, make it about her personal choices. Compliment her hairstyle, earrings, glasses, etc. This will make her feel way happier than commenting on her body. We don't know how to raise/take care of children. We try hard and learn as we go, and sometimes we get it wrong. If we can try, so can you. Also that no, not all of us want to be mothers. As a first-time father to a 9-month-old daughter, it's actually embarrassing how low the bar is to be considered a good dad. For example, I work 3 o'clock 11:30 from home. My wife works from 7 o'clock 3 o'clock not at home, and is usually home by 3:15. As a result of our genuinely extremely lucky schedule, I watch my daughter all day every day until she gets home. I feed her, clean her, make sure she's safe. You know, all the crap any parent should be expected to do. For 6 months now, since my wife went back to work, nearly every time I go to the grocery store, obviously with my daughter, a stranger makes a comment along the lines of, "Is daddy giving mommy a break today?" And I know it's not meant with ill will, but it so badly makes me want to just yell that I'm just being a parent. I also have friends/relatives that ask why we don't send her to daycare while mom works. Maybe because I'm an able-bodied person that can take care of my own daughter alone, not to mention we save a ton on daycare costs. I've had numerous men say crap like, "I just couldn't handle that every day." But why not? Why do dads just have a built-in excuse to be absent? The bar is so ridiculously low. My brother is a lot like you. Here, he works nights, so during the day he does the parent stuff. When my sister-in-law went back to work after having a baby, she was having very minor and temporary incontinence issues and wet herself at work. She called my brother, and he showed up to her work with the baby and a fresh pair of pants. All her coworkers praised him endlessly, and yeah, it was a really nice thing to do, but my brother was so disappointed. When he told me about this, he said, "Do their husbands just not treat them right?" Obviously I brought her some pants. I love her and she peed herself. That hormonal birth control has a lot more influence on our life than you might think. It affects our mood, weight, might cause depression, and still nobody seems to care, and kills your sex drive. Yup, these pills that make sex safe make me not want to have sex. My husband and I joke about that being the way it works lol. Oh, you don't want a baby? Sweet limb, turn off the sex drive switch. Now you will not have a baby. The fact that a pad sticks to the end is not the cooches. That one is always a good one. Another good one is when the brightest ones learned there are 3 holes. I learned that there were 3 holes years before I learned that women aren't out there pad slapping their flaps. How difficult it is that none of our pants have usable pockets. I'm a guy and I can understand that. I have a pair or 2 of sweet pants with no pockets. I try to stick my phone halfway inside the waistband but it never works for long. It eventually ends up falling down the pants and gets trapped at the stretchy end part by my ankle, so gotta bend down and get it. At which point my ass crack sticks out because the pants are a size too small. Not too sure why I still have them. Did you try putting it in your bra? That I can be mad without it being that time of the month. And every ailment is not related to our period or possible pregnancy. Unwanted attention / touching / being followed is not a compliment. I had a man fondle my, but as he walked by, I'm talking full on stroking it while I was playing a video game. Another guy in a primer grey color van following me on the streets until I was able to lose him in a neighborhood. Men sending me unwanted DMs on Instagram and Facebook and being all pervy with me. And I'm told I should take it as a compliment and that it's not a big deal by men of various ages. Especially since I'm fat and therefore should be grateful for any attention I get. No, men, I'm not grateful. I'm skeeved out and frankly terrified when this happens. I always ask, what if a man you weren't interested in did exactly this to you? It's funny how many answer with they wouldn't, because I'm straight. Aha. Did you think that random cat caller stopped and asked if I was gay or not before shouting nasty sexual suggestions at me? Also, not the freaking point of the question. Well, it wouldn't happen to me, so I don't have to empathize with you, is the response of a true crap bird. That I'm not lying when I say I know a fair amount on X subject. They always either try to trip me up, which will happen, I'm not a computer or a professor lol, and laugh, or try to one-up me, mainly older men. Do you know where a mansplainer gets his water? From a well actually. Well, actually, you forgot the comma in well, actually. Boobs actually weigh quite a bit. I'm not exactly a small person and I'm on the bigger side, however I have a larger than average chest. Breasts can weigh quite a bit depending on how big they are, and can cause serious back pain, and sometimes they just hurt like hell. What it's like to have a human being growing and moving inside of you. And people claim aliens don't exist. That thing there. Funny story, I used to move and stretch out in utero so much, especially at the later stages of my mum's pregnancy, that she got freaked out because it made her think of the Sigourney Weaver movie Alien and started becoming a recurring point of anxiety. That it's easy to catch you staring at us. Like you couldn't make it more obviously staring right at my tits or my ass. This is why I look at the sky or at my shoes when girls are around. Probably also why I'm lonely AF. Try looking at their faces. That women are not a monolith and there isn't a singular method to make them go out with you. There is no secret combo. If she's not into you, she's not into you. Take the L and stop bothering her. Whenever I see a man asking, do women like this? I just want to reply, do men like mushrooms? If you're interested in a girl then just freaking ask her what she likes. She's just as varied and complex as any other human you've ever met. Just because I'm being nice to a male person doesn't mean I wanna stick my tongue in his mouth. Some people are just cool, it's their personality trait. And no, I do not need you to explain everything. I can think by myself. If I had any problem I would look it up on Google. Thank you. And that I'm not a bitch for not giving the guy a chance when he mistakes my friendship for a green light. Emotional labor, y'all. I really wish this was higher. Even if your partner thinks he does his fair share, can guarantee he likely doesn't. I thought my partner was doing his fair share, totally 50/50, at the start of our marriage. Then over the years I realized piece by piece that it wasn't really true. He did zero of the household management, from meal planning to picking and scheduling contractors. No Christmas or birthday cards. No gift planning or wrapping, for my family or his own or ours. No putting together freezer meals when a friend was pregnant or grieving. It's a lot better now, but each of those was a thing to tackle and divvy up fairly. He especially struggled to understand why the social glue stuff mattered. That not all girls get mood swings on our periods. You don't have to just instinctively tiptoe around us. If we are on our period, you can just ask if we get mood swings or not. Every woman is different. If I get mad / sad / anxious / whatever emotion at something, and I happen to be on / right before my period, don't dare dismiss my emotion as PMS. I personally don't get PMS, and that's a lucky thing for me, but even if I did, my emotions are always valid. The importance of outdoor lighting in your neighborhood. I enjoy taking walks alone listening to my podcasts, and I'm only going to do it in an area that's well lit, so I can see everything around me. Sure, I want to look at the trees and neighbors walking their dogs, but I'm also on the lookout for people that might do me harm. I've made comments here and there about how I wish it didn't get dark until later on in the evening, so I can go for walks, and I get loads of people going. Night walks are great though. Yeah, no, not when it's dark AF, and if something happened to me, I'd get blamed for being out after dark. Did you also get loads of people telling you to move to a better place or get a gun? The sheer fear and possibilities of what could go wrong during childbirth and how it feels to be pregnant. It's a bit terrifying to me. Yep, I had an exceedingly boring and normal pregnancy up until I was in labor for 32 hours, pushing for 5, broke my tailbone, son nearly went into fetal distress, got an infection, and his oxygen levels dropped, and my uterine lining had thinned out so much I was literally 14 minutes from a C-section and a consequential 25% chance of needing an emergency hysterectomy. Tell that to a man. No shade, it's just that y'all can't experience it. They'll offer up a damn that sucks. Never doing childbirth again. It's indeed terrifying. To my husband in particular, photoshopped and airbrushed photos that every woman he shows me that looks really good for her age has doctored the picture. I can show him, and he doesn't believe it. Now that's some next level naivety. I thought everyone was well aware how prevalent Photoshop is by now. My husband was very inexperienced when we met. The first time we slept together, he told me normal women don't have hair between their legs. He legit thought that a neat triangle up front and otherwise bare was how it naturally grew. I laughed out loud and told him to do a Google search for natural female pubic hair. He was gobsmacked. How hard it is to look at Instagram models with perfect bodies, whether they are manipulated by Photoshop, filters, or surgery, and then seeing all the men praising and ogling these women. Then you look in the mirror and you're like, frick. Men shouldn't get rewarded for practicing basic human decency. Don't get your nose out of joint because a woman didn't praise you for being so wonderful and God's gift to earth because of one simple action that is pretty much expected in functional adult life. Grow up. Why women feel unsafe. Why we travel in groups, go to the bathroom together, share our locations with each other, text when we get home, etc. The amount of times I have explained this to incredulous men is starting to get annoying. What it means when we say we are treated differently in leadership roles. Guys will openly interrupt and start talking to each other, turning their backs to some of their female leaders because the conversation is between them. They are more likely to act out or get annoyed. They are more likely to undermine or whine or disregard guidance of women than they are of men. However, when women point it out, guys will monitor and see an example of it not happening and claim that validates that it's not actually an issue. Why do you have to try on jeans every time? Don't you know your size? Sizes vary wildly by brand and style. Most women's jeans are not sold by waistband / inseam like men's are, like 34/32, 32/30, 38/34, etc. There is no standard in America for clothing sizes. that no matter what I do, everyone questions my authority on a subject. Even if it's related to my field of work, which I have a degree in, and I've worked in for nearly 15 years at this point. People, usually men, but sometimes women too, still go, "Are you sure?" It's frustrating. I would like to be believed for once when I say this is what I know the best. I know what I'm talking about here. Anything computer related. I'm a software engineer. I have been for over 10 years. But if I try to explain why I think someone is having issues with their home network, for example, I'm met with glazed eyes and an eventual mutter of "yeah, I'm just gonna reset the router." Resetting the router isn't going to get your wireless access points outside the Faraday cage in your furnace room, Greg. The difference between being normal and being creepy. Not every woman has an innate maternal instinct, and some of us truly don't feel the need to procreate. How much it hurts from the girl's perspective to discover that a guy who she thought was a true friend for years was in fact feeling sexually towards her all along, and just waiting thirstily in the wings for their chance to jump in when she and her boyfriend break up. From their perspective, they imagine this will be a romantic Hollywood moment of her realizing that the right one was there all along. But from the girl's perspective, it's a sickening, plunging feeling of betrayal at finding out that their whole friendship was built on a lie of ulterior motives. It destroys trust. 1. Periods and pregnancies suck. They can hurt a lot, and chemically, we are not 100% rational. That doesn't mean we are stupid, so don't act like it, though. 2. Compliment things, but don't focus on our insecurities more than other attributes. You're confirming that it stands out or is noticeable in some way. 3. We don't have pockets like ever. 4. Non-sexual touching is everything. I'm like 2000x more likely to get sexual, perform better, and be easier to please if there's non-sexual touching in the relationship too. 4. Big boobs don't have as many nerves as little boobs. You squishing them does nothing for meal mayo. Rom-coms are not reality. In the movies, a guy might be persistent for months, make a big romantic gesture at an important event, usually a wedding, and the woman will decide to date him. In reality, persistence is more like harassment, and will get you a restraining order, not a romantic partner. Why we need pockets? You can just buy a purse. No, I just want to shove my keys, phone, and wallet in my pocket, and do an errand. But I can't, because our pants have no usable pockets. It never fails to make me happy when my boyfriend goes out of his way to help me feel better on my period. He's never grossed out, keeps me hydrated, and makes sure I have a steady supply of pads and snacks. Dudes, it's so easy to make your girl feel loved, because in that week, she already feels gross and unattractive. She does not need you show her you agree. It's hard to explain to my BF how often I get harassed and how worried for my safety I am. When we are getting in the car together, I want us in the car as fast as possible so I can lock the doors, and it makes me anxious when he takes his time. I'm always looking behind me, making sure I'm not being followed, looking under my car before I get in. The men in my life are all good people who treat women with respect, and they just don't understand how terrifying some other men/people can be. I've been followed, stalked, assaulted. I just can't let my guard down.